What's happening, party people? Welcome to my weekend review. Man, I kicked off the year in Texas, and nearly 30 days later, I am still in Texas. Most of the time, I was kind of hiding from that bad weather up north. It snowed real close to Christmas at my place. There is still snow on my porch cam. It just won't go away. Few of the cars have melted away. The ones that's in the sun, the ones that's not in the sun still have snow on them. So hopefully that'll be gone. We did a lot more than I expected here in the Houston area, helping Arian gather parts at the salvage yard. We're putting his cars together now. Hopefully we'll be done 2-3 days, and we're going to leave some stuff here undone, but we'll come back in a few months to finish up with him. But we hope you enjoyed today's segment. I experimented with some stuff with lemonade, trying to clean it up a little bit more. Man, lemonade is looking good. It got a headliner in it finally. Still need to do the sunroof cover. I cleaned up some of this weird, I guess it was primer paint on the outside of it. Made a mistake or two there, but hey, we live and learn. Hopefully you learn from my mistakes. But there's a lot of information here, a lot of fun stuff. Hope you enjoy it. Have a great day. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Going to change this caliper on lemonade. And somebody has destroyed that brake line in the past, because that is a replacement. Let's see if we can get it out of this caliper. All done. Had to heat the heck out of that line to get that line off. But we got it off without damaging it, so we should be good to go. Now it's time to paint this white wing yellow. Had a couple of chips in it, so I just filled it in with some putty, caulking. Oh, that's not even set yet. Crap. I was going to sand that right now and then hit it with primer and then hit it with some fine grit. I got 400 here. I got some 120 and some 800. I got some primer. Then I got some mixed paint. I think this is clear. No, this is clear. This is mixed 607 yellow. So let me see what I can do on getting this ready to paint. Got 3 spots on the car that somebody tried to touch up for some reason. Looks like this was hit. The metal here is deformed a little bit, and they primed it, I guess, was trying to stop it from rusting and left it kind of rough. So we got that spot there. We got a spot here where paint was peeling here, and they sprayed all up on the back of the hatch. Then I pulled the seal out there, and there was a couple of rusted spots there. I got to get those. And then we got this ugly spot here that I could touch up. So those are the 3 really rough looking spots I'm gonna get. I can also hit these mirrors, but why waste the paint on those when I have those new lit mirrors? So let's see what goes on with this stuff. See how this turns out when I try to touch this up tomorrow and blend it. I know it'll look better than it did, but we'll see how good it turns out. And that's the touch up on it there. And that's the close up on it there. And And that's it for tonight. We got the car 85% packed for the trip and journey back towards Cincinnati. My wife is bilingual, mother-in-law not so much, so my wife purchased us some translator earbuds, maybe from Amazon, I assume. And here we have it. Protective mask. Some of her makeup. I thought the box was just a mask. But we have the items here, I believe. And here it is. Language translator earbuds. Let's get it cracking. See how long it takes to set them up and use them. And here's the box. True wireless earbuds. I think you can listen to music and everything like that with them as well. Yep, there you go. Has a QR code for the App Store. So I guess that's the app I'll need. Let me go ahead and open it up, read some instructions before I download the app. And this is what's inside the box. Looks like some instruction. Scan to view product usage videos. And here are the earbuds. I'm pretty sure she got me black ones because I dirty everything. I'm a mechanic. This side of this sheet is the user guide, and this side is product usage videos. Here's some instructions I'm gonna read and go from there. So the instructions are pretty simple. If you have the earbuds, the translator service is free. First thing you want to do is hit this to download the app. While installing the app, you want to pair your earbuds. Now there's 4 translation methods that you could use. One, you could share the earbuds. You have one, they have the other one, and you take turns tapping and speaking. Number 2, you could do the speak mode where one person has the earbuds, the other person has the phone, and they're reading the translation. 3, you got a free talk mode where you talk normally and you share the earbuds. One person uses the right one and the other person uses the left one. You choose the language that is being spoken and being translated to. And then you have a photo translation where you take a picture of something that's written and it'll translate that for you. And some other customer support stuff, but it seems pretty easy. And the app has these different options as you go through. Again, you could download this app and pay to use it. It has 8 free trial, I guess, translations or sessions. But if you've purchased the earbuds, the translation service is supposed to be free forever. So let me go ahead and download the app and start the setup. I have the buds on charge. They recommend that you charge the buds up. Normally this stuff comes with, like 80% charge on everything you get nowadays. But I went on ahead and put it on the charger anyway, just to make sure. And I'm going to go ahead and activate mine and have it set up for when my mother-in-law gets back. I'll see if I can understand them speaking to me. I went through all the prompts. The app and the registration was a little bit confusing, but you just got to work your way through it. Do it on purpose. It's not going to lead you through it. I was able to log into the app, choose the voice translator active mode or whatever you want to call it, and I spoke a word or two of Spanish and it did speak back to me translating it. And then I spoke a word in Spanish and it spoke it back to me in Spanish because it was assuming that we were taking turns or it heard my voice speaking out. But, that's neither here nor there. I haven't tried it out with someone yet, but it appears to be translating words and phrases that I say. So we'll see how it goes when I get a family member here. Again, you do need to understand that this is like having an interpreter with you. So you need to have conversations, allowing time for an interpreter to communicate the language conversation back and forth. So hope that makes sense. Well, folks, time to kick off with my tinker day and some painting. I'm gonna tape this off and touch up that area there, and I'm gonna go back here and paint this rear wing. I was gonna hang it from a tree or something so I could paint all around it, but heck, I might just lay it on the table and paint it on the table if I don't think any ants will crawl on it. So let me get it out of this storage and get to work. Did some sanding to clean up this divot in here, and I got it pretty smooth, but I'm afraid to put any more pressure on it. It's pretty smooth, don't have that chunk in it no more. And I got these areas, I'm gonna sand this area a little bit more here, smooth that out. Then I'm gonna hit it with a primer, because I'm all the way down into the plastic on this thing, just by trying to smooth that out. I'm gonna put some cardboard under it and hit it with the primer, then hit it with the base coat, then hit it with the clear. I'm gonna paint the bottom first and then the top. I got it all prepped. I got it wiped down with acetone, all cleaned off, got the holes covered, and I have my mask on. So I'm gonna hit it with the primer. About 5 minutes later, I'm gonna hit it with the base coat, and then I'm gonna hit it with the clear, and then about an hour later, I'm gonna flip it over and do the other side. Gotta go 30 minutes in between coats. I had to move this, so I touched it there. Took a little prime off of it, touched it there. So I'm gonna try to hit that real quick and then let it sit half hour for the base coat and then the clear coat. I got this taped off like this. I'm gonna hit it with the primer and then hit it with the yellow, then hit it with the clear. I'm not going to hit it to the edges because I'm not trying to make a line, but I'm going to try to focus on the parts that look bad. I did sand up around in here, so that'll have to be polished before it's all said and done because I still see some white around there. So I'm going to get close to these lines, but try not to hit them. My timer went up to hit my base coat on the rear wing, so I need to hit this primer real quick. That's what I got on the primer. I'm going to start my 30-minute timer, and I can see the roughness in it now that it's got some primer on it. But again, that's going to look better than it started out, really rough. And here's the paint I got from the paint store. Let me keep shaking it up and get a coat on there. Unfortunately, I got a little more breeze than I expected, and it's not coming out of the can as smooth as I hoped it would. I can hear it sputtering. You can see it blowing away. That's a coat I'm gonna leave on there. I'm gonna hit it with one more coat in about 30 minutes. A lot of automotive paint stores can mix you a spray rattle can of paint. If you contact them, give them your paint code that you want mixed, and go by there and pick it up. Some of them will do it while you wait. Takes about 15 minutes, and the paint that they use is 1K, so it's a good quality paint. I got 2 coats on here now. I'm gonna hit it with a clear. I got a speck right there, probably from the can sputtering. I'm not gonna worry about that petty stuff. It turns out worse when you try to clean it up. I got fall foliage falling down on it too. But hopefully when the clear dries and I flip it over, I can get the other side to look nice. Then I hit a coat on the car. Had some dogs over here because I went inside for lunch. Dogs poking around at the car. I thought they might have gotten into the dang car, but they didn't. I chased a puppy out of here, and dogs seen the puppy run across the street. About 9 of them come running down here. But this is how the spot looks so far. I hit it with one coat. I'm gonna hit it with another coat. A little harder down here than up here. But I'm gonna wait a half hour before I hit it. If that turns out nice, I might hit back here today. Not sure. But this paint peeling, I really have to sand that smooth to make it look nice. And then I need to touch up spots like that. Need to sand that rust out of there. It doesn't look like the rust is up in there, but it's down on this part. But then again, I could hit this, make this look nice if that side over there looks nice. I got that spot back there and this spot here on the door. I'll pull that handle off, pull that trim off, tape that piece off, and paint it. They got paint all in there. I could probably wet sand that off though and just make the outside look nice. I'm not gonna try to paint all this stuff all over here with all this clear and all that stuff. That'd just be too much to be trying to do with a rattle can, I think. I could hit these mirrors. They got a couple spots on there where they're just totally skinned up. But again, I got the timer going, and when the timer goes off, I'm gonna hit that with a second coat. Then I'm gonna clear it and be done. 5 minutes later, that little sputter I seen on here has disappeared. Wow, it's awesome. So, glad I didn't try to clear that off. The first coat of clear I did really well. The second coat, I went across it twice and I see a few runs in it. So the clear is more prone to running than the base coat. So put your clear on extra thin. I got a run there. Let's see if I got the more runs. Look like I got a run right there. A little run there. A couple of runs there. So be careful with your clear. They say this clear dries to touch 30 minutes and it's hard in 12 hours. I'm gonna flip this over 45 minutes and paint the other side. I probably should hang this thing by some screws. Let me think about that. So here's the instructions for the clear. Spray it crossways and up and down. Spray your coats 5 minutes apart, maximum of 3 layers. To touch 30 minutes, hard 12 hours. So 12 hours, you can go ahead and wash this thing hard to chemicals in 14 days. So keep chemicals off of it for 14 days, which I would take that to mean no solvents. All right, this is supposed to be dry to touch in 30 minutes, and man, it really feels good. I'm gonna flip it over. It may leave a little mark being supported by this, but maybe not, we'll see. But I gotta flip it over and do the other side, so here it goes. Oh man, it's trying to fall down. Let me get these shims out of here. Well, this is not working out. Both places where that thing touched here peeled all the way off to the bottom, and that touched it there and it peeled all the way off. Not working out for me. Probably should let this thing sit till tomorrow to do the other side, because I already got places to touch up. Or I'll just go ahead and do it and touch it up with a paintbrush and the base coat. So yeah, that kind of sucked. Yeah, this is why this is not my favorite thing to do. I don't have the patience for it. But I went on ahead and set it up like this. Hopefully it won't peel too much of this paint off of here. And I'm going to paint the top side. Let's get cracking. I'm finished with this part of the car, so I'm going to go ahead and peel this tape off. Hopefully I won't have any tape lines, but I may. If so, I'll just wet sand them with 2000 grit or something. So let me go ahead and peel that tape off and see how it looks. Kicking off the tinker day. Look at this fog. It's ridiculous. I need to do some painting out here before the wind kicks up and it's wet. I don't know if I can paint with it this humid. Supposed to be humid, of course, down here all day. The wind is at 4 miles an hour. You can see the little tree moving there. And I'm out here this early because by 11 it's going to be 11 miles an hour. And then by 2 it's supposed to be 18, almost 20 mile an hour winds. And I want to do some touch-up paint. If you guys remember yesterday, I touched up the paint right there near that back wheel, that front area right there, and it turned out to be a good 10-footer. I could barely see the line from here because I know it's there. Whenever it hardens in a couple weeks, I'm gonna feather that line out, and then when I polish it, probably won't even see that area. But as you can see back here, from 15 feet away, you can see that area of white back by the license plate. I want to clean that up today. And there's a spot over here on this door that's also messed up. 12 feet away, you see it. It's probably 100-footer. And this right here is probably eternity. You can see that if you can see the car. Also here, I got a couple of rust spots from where I removed that seal. Right there, right there, right there, right there. So I'm gonna sand these rust spots off. Then I'm gonna tape a line straight across here. I'll have a line that's probably a 1/4 inch down. And I'm gonna have to paint it with a line there because that's the only way I'm gonna get that off. I'm gonna remove this piece here after I get that over there. I'm already getting 8 mile an hour gusts, so I need to get this cracking before it gets too windy out here. I'm gonna take this trim off, take this doorknob off, sand just this spot right here, and try to paint as close to that edge as I can. So I'll probably do a 3-4 inch sweep. And this door's been painted and cleared, so it'll probably look a mess because this door is faded more than this back quarter rack here, and this paint's darker, as you can see over here. But hopefully it'll be another 10-footer and not. Man, this looks lighter. I think this might have been painted, so it'll be similar to that. But instead of a 50-footer, hopefully it'll be a 10-footer. It'll just look better than what it looks now. And for some reason, this got a bunch of chip paint. That's going to be hard smoothing that out. So this may be a temporary fix. I may replace this later. But when they sprayed this, I don't know why they sprayed this. This ain't even metal. They got the paint all the way up on here. I could probably wet sand that off of there. But really, when I start doing a spot that big, trying to get that off, it's going to cut through and get down to the metal. So I may end up painting more of this than I wanted to. So anyway, let me get started because I want to get this going. I'm going to check humidity. Right now, it's probably 90% humidity. And the paint may be limited to like 65% humidity. I know it's already limited to 68 degrees. Right now, it's probably 66. Let me check real quick. Well, I have a serious conflict. The humidity and the wind gust. I might have to pull the car up beside that truck to do some painting because if it's too humid, I can't do it. So let me check my wing from yesterday. So here's my wing from yesterday. Man, it looks really good. I didn't get no runs on the top. I did have a hair get stuck on here that I cleared into there. That kind of sucked. I didn't want to. And there's a speck of dirt there that's in there. But heck, it looks better than the wing I got painted for Queen Bee. I used caulking instead of filler, and I got that spot there. But again, this was a temporary thing. And the paint, I think, the primer, Rust-Oleum, didn't harden enough before I flipped it over. Of course, that was all the way down to the bottom. So I put 2 coats of primer on the bottom, and then I put 2 coats of paint, and then I put 2 coats of clear. And the clear is supposed to harden the touch in like 15 minutes where you could touch it. And it was hardened to handle in an hour, and then hardened forever. I think they said like 12, 14 days. Anyway, after an hour, I flipped it over, and where it touched the cardboard, that's what happened. So I need to touch that up. That's really ugly. There, 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 and there. But again, I think it's all the way down to the bottom level, which is the primer. So I think the primer failed me, not so much the other automotive paint. And that was some Rust-Oleum. So the Rust-Oleum doesn't dry as good as the automotive paint. So there it is. I'm able to flake it off. People say prime, prime, prime. Well, I think that primer is failing me. So anyway, I'm gonna touch those things up before I install it with a brush and send it. It's on the bottom side. Probably not visible, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Again, this is a piece I'm getting on here so I can have it on here. Using the Rust-Oleum primer was a mistake. A few weeks later, I looked at the wing closely, and where I primed with Rust-Oleum was actually cracking. So I think the automotive paint hardened so hard that it cracked the Rust-Oleum under it. So if you're going to use primer, get you some automotive quality primer, the same place you get your rattle can color paint, so you don't have any issues with that later on. Thought I put the paint out by the storage, but it's in the car here. So let's check the temperature and humidity restrictions so we don't violate that. It just rained a few drops, big old drops of rain. So the clear coat says it dries to touch, probably where you can handle it in 30 minutes. I gave it an hour, and it's hard in 12 hours. So the clear should be hard, which means you could rinse the car off or maybe even wash it. 5 minutes between each coat. There it is. It should be at least 20 degrees Celsius, and the humidity should be between 25 and 75%. That's not going to happen until probably 10 or 11 o'clock. 11, it's already going to be 16-mile-an-hour winds average, so I'm kind of cooked here with this windy day. I don't see any limits with the temperature and the humidity on the 1K color, so I'm gonna proceed to try to get this on here before it gets too windy. It's got a bunch of information. They say you should paint between 50 degrees and 90 degrees. Humidity below 65%. You want 2 coats within a couple of minutes of each other. So you should do your base coat and your clear coat within an hour of spraying the primer, which is a little tough. So let me get to work. I pulled the trim off. I pulled the door handle off. I started to hit this thing with some, 120 grit, and that white started coming right off. So I stopped, and I grabbed some 800 grit. I wet it, and look at that. All of that white that was all up in there came right off. I wet sanded it with 800 grit. I wish I had some 1000 grit, but I'm not going to spray all this for just this edge. So I'm gonna hit that a little bit more. Then I'm gonna tape a real fine line there, mask this stuff off, and I'm gonna try to touch up just this edge with some primer, some base, some clear, And I'm gonna leave it like that. I thought I was gonna have to paint an inch into this thing, or almost 2 inches in, but man, that stuff looks good. Then I'll touch up a couple of spots like this, where there's a little rust spot there, crack in the clear there, crack in the clear there. I'll break that stuff up. I got spots all over the car that I'm gonna hit with a little brush. So it's better to hit this stuff with some kind of brush or something to get some paint on it versus letting it just rust and run. See, this back here, man, this looks like it may have been cleared as well, but it doesn't really look like it. It looks like it's just original paint. This, I think, is original. This has been repainted and cleared. See how it's faded. And I know it's cleared because it's peeled. Got another bubble there. Oh, that was some tree sap or something. Anyway, I'm gonna use the day to touch up this stuff. I bet you that white on the back of that hatch is gonna buff off too. I'm gonna wet sand all that off. I'm gonna take this piece off, sand and paint it because it's rough. But I think this white is probably gonna come off with some wet sanding. And then I'm gonna hit this rust in here, sand this rust down, and prime and spray it. So I got a spot here, a spot there, a couple spots along there. I got some paint wore off there in the spot there. I'm gonna put a little line along here that'll have to be painted. But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have to paint this, which is good. I'm gonna wet sand that off with that 800 grit. Could go get 1,000, but I think 800 will be fine. I made a mistake and didn't sand the edge of the paint line good enough, and I got a little gap right there. But I'm gonna keep going forward because I'm already committed. I don't want to try to sand it now. Actually, I probably could sand that edge right now and then dab it again with some primer. I should have made sure I got all of that paint edge removed. Back here, I'm gonna remove this trim. It's got a lot of edge on it, this plastic piece. So I'm gonna sand all that so it don't have a paint edge on it like a shoreline. And I think all this is gonna wet sand off. Let me move forward on that. Getting this off is not hard, but you need to follow the instructions I have for getting this panel off or you're gonna destroy it. So take this panel off properly, take that piece off, and do that right if you're ever gonna take that off. I wish I had my backup camera with me because I would drill a hole in that and mount my backup camera, but it got left at home, so I'm gonna have to go back in here again. But since the weather's good, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with this. I might drill a hole in here for the backup camera. I'm gonna think about it. Something had to hit the edge of this door pretty good to have it crack this paint here. That's really strange. I took the rear panel off, and I took the wiper off, 13 millimeter bolt. Then I took the wiper assembly off, which is 3 10 millimeter bolts. Unplugged the harness on that, pulled it down. Next, I had to pull this off, 2 10 millimeter bolts, and this pin stuck into that hole there. That's the interior latch. Now I'm gonna get this off, this assembly. And what you gotta do is, you gotta take this loose here, because that's going up, out to that piece there. To get that out, you gotta turn that. It's got a grommet on there. So you unplug it from there and twist it to get it to unplug from here. There it goes. It's twisted. How you pull that out? Up, came out with the grommet. Then you do 10 millimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that'll come off, but it has to be unplugged from the light. So I need to figure out where the light harness is on that. It's probably this one right here. So let me unplug this. And I massaged it out. Could have took that off, but I left it on. It gets the key deal out. You had to unhook that rod there. That came up to there. And now I could sand this down and paint it. I also have this off where I can wet sand this. As you see, this needs to be cleaned up. I didn't take this off when I cleaned all this stuff up before. It's got some wear there. I think it also has a rubber gasket that's supposed to be on it. Nope, I don't see any rubber gasket. Those are the rubber gaskets there. 4 points. So that's just a plastic trim that sits against there. And as you can see, this one has paint peeling. Somebody probably painted it at one time, even though it looks original. I don't know why paint would have peeled off of it. I wet the sandpaper, and then I just lightly sand this white stuff in concentrated area. And once it white stuff is gone, I do circular motions. And you're taking off a little bit of the yellow, but you're trying not to hit it too deep to knock all the yellow down to the metal. So you would be very careful, very lightly. And then hit it with some circular action. Wipe it. See how much you got to go. I'm gonna go head over and hit the rest of this. You can see I took some yellow paint off as well. I tried to use the same piece of the sandpaper so that it could get duller and not take so much paint off. But I got all the white off, but now this is dull because it was sanded with 800 grit. I probably took half of the yellow paint off with the white, and you could probably do this with cutting polish and then polishing polish and then fine and then wax it, and it would look like new. So this needs to be polished and then waxed so that it'll have a good finish on it. And like I said, a finer sandpaper like 2000 grit would have been much better. But this is what I had, so I figured it would look better than what I got. So now let me hit these rust areas and get ready to put a line across there and paint that. It's pretty windy right now. I took the tape and stuff off of this, and you can see where I wet sanded that, and then touch up. It looks like some of my primer got through, but maybe when I polish that in a couple of weeks, it'll look better. Definitely looks better than it did. It's not a 10-footer, it's probably more like a 15 or 20-footer, but it's better than it was. But this is gonna be good. It's back here, because I was able to polish this off. All this white off of here. Or wet sand it off. Now I'll need to polish it and then wax it, and it should be good. Let me sand this piece down and get it ready to spray this plastic. It is windy. Windy enough to hear the wind blowing through the trees. Supposed to be gusting around 20 miles an hour. Average is 20 miles an hour rather, but I got this thing sanded the way I think I want it. and taped off the way I want it. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it. 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of yellow, 2 coats of clear. Let's get with it. It'll be done within an hour. Got the primer done, and this edge over here is a little rough, but it's better than it was, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the yellow. That primer goes on thick. It's just thicker than I expect. I got 2 coats on it. Now I'm gonna hit 2 coats of the base coat on it. 2 thin coats. I call this 1 coat, but I want to cross this thing 3 times. I'm gonna let that sit for 7 minutes and do that again. I got all this stuff down here taped off. Then I'm gonna hit it with the clear. Then I'm gonna back the car up to this back patio porch area, because that's the only way I'm gonna be able to paint that track in the back of it, because this wind is blowing pretty good out there. I'm not gonna be able to paint out there. The wind is just pushing too hard. Got the yellow on, 2 coats. Next, I'm gonna do the clear. 2 coats of clear. Say 3 max. I'm only do 2 coats. Hopefully this car will get painted within the next 6 months. It's gonna be looking good in the meantime. Whoop, whoop. This piece is done. I don't see a run, but I see a couple specks of dirt. Probably came off of me. That looks like a little hair. That's a speck of dirt. The wind's blowing out here pretty bad, so looks a lot better than it did. I'm gonna press on. I'm in the process of taping that off. I'm gonna put a stripe on that and be done. For today, as far as painting goes, I might go get a brush and touch up some spots, but like chips like that, maybe these mirrors hit that. The other mirror is even worse. But let me go ahead and wrap this up for the spray cans. Time for me to hit this rust proofing stripe right here. Try to hold this like right here and hit that, and 5 minutes later hit it again, and then 5 minutes later hit it with a base coat. 10 minutes later hit it with a base coat. 10 minutes later hit it with a clear. 10 minutes later hit it with a clear. So let's get cracking. Well, first run, I gotta run. Trying to paint in that crack is kind of hard, so you gotta get kind of close, and as you can see on this tape, it's causing a run. I hope that tape is down tight, so when I peel it off, it's got a stripe there, but man, it barely got in there. Let me put some light on it. See in there? Barely got in there, but it's running out here. So I'm gonna let that sit 5 minutes and hit it again. It's almost 2 o'clock. I am finally done spraying. When this hardens, probably about 30 minutes to an hour, I'm gonna take this tape off and clean everything up, put everything back together. In the meantime, I have a thermostat to replace on this car, an upper engine mount, and a mass airflow sensor. So I'm probably gonna run to the store and get some touch-up paint brushes so I can hit the metal spots that need some touch-up paint, and then I'll be ready to put this thing back together. Well, about 2 hours have passed, and maybe 3. I made a mistake and let that rear hatch latch, so I gotta climb inside and try to jimmy it open because it don't have a handle out there. The handle's here. But I believe everything's ready to put back together, so I'm gonna crawl back there and take some stuff out so I can get back there and jimmy that thing open and put this car back together. That was easier than I anticipated. Awesome. Got it open. Since it was open like this thing had come out of this hole, so I just aligned this back in that hole, pushed it, it opened the latch, lifted it open. So let's get this plastic off of here. Had a couple things break, taking that off. That looks okay, that looks okay, that looks okay. That one's broke. Broke, okay, broke, broke. So I need to find some clips in my hardware stash. Man, all 4 of my clips like this are busted. So I'm gonna check 1 or 2 more spots for them. And this panel's probably gonna be rattling. I need to order one of those quick. I do have a new set or 2 at home. Getting this wing ready to mount. Getting the old double-sided tape off so I can put some new 3M double-sided tape on. And then it has brackets. Got this side cut off. I'm ready to cut that side off. This wing is primarily held on by double-sided tape. And then the secondary securing method is these brackets here. These are V70 brackets, 1 piece each side. And they have right and left. So, that's how they go, right and left. So this line is the glass line. This part is on the glass, this part is on the body. And then you center it up there. I think I have one of these that has a light on it that I'm gonna put on this car. But let me go ahead and put this one on here for temporary sake. And man, this doesn't look as good as it should. And you can see this part of it very well while it's mounted. So this part in the top needs to look perfect. But this right here got some overspray on it from spraying the top. Probably should hit it with some 2000 grit. But now's not the time. Well, I'm not centered. Can't get that bracket on. I got about 3/8 of an inch there and 1/4 inch there. So I need to pop it loose, move it over. Well, after all my hard work, hard painting and everything, I put this wing on a little bit too far to the right. When I took it off, it jumped. Put a big scratch there. Big scratch there on the back of my box. I'll touch that up one of these days, but need to bury all that stuff right now, so it's not gonna get touched up anytime soon. You know, that's kind of sad. That's the reason why I bought that paint in the first place. Paint this rear wing. Hey. Laid the golden egg. Out here at the junkyard. Mate is disappointed we don't have a wheelbarrow. We drove the taxi. Let me check a couple things real quick, and if they're not already loose, grab it from this car. Here we are, folks, at San Antonio, Texas. Just left the junkyard, about to have some barbecue, and we are at the BB Smokehouse. I'll put the address in the link. Food must be good. This place is packed. There's no comforts at all. You do get to sit down, but it's hard wood. And about to see what their barbecue's like. I almost forgot that you guys know we got some fatty brisket, some lean brisket, sausage. All 3 are excellent. Green beans, excellent. Barbecue sauce, excellent. Tea, perfect. Nice little stop. Made a stop to check somebody's cruise. And man, their cruise pump was all jacked up. This piece here is not in right. So I'm gonna reset that, and that's probably gonna fix this cruise. And that is how that is supposed to look, folks. Dan the man, here's the pumps, buddy. We count like 120 gas pumps at this place. Man, if you guys haven't heard of a Buc-ee's, this place is insane. The craziest gas station you ever want to stop at. And they are proud of their Texas style snacks and jerky and brisket, and this place is insane. And they have been known to have the cleanest bathrooms on the planet. This is a full-size one just east of San Antonio, heading towards, headed towards Houston. The guy just said that he thinks this is supposed to be the largest one they got on the planet, and this is about the size of the one they had in Kentucky near Bowling Green. This place is insane. Woo, woo! Risk it on the board. This place.
Head east toward East Pierce Street.
Yep, just east of San Antonio, heading towards Houston. Desserts. Look at the coffee centers. Yep. This is a place to hang out. If you can't find your snacks here, you ain't looking for no snack. Told my wife I wanted some chips to nibble on. I guess I could find chips here. Oh my gosh. And they actually got a Bucky boy. A Bucky boy. I'm gonna get me a picture of Bucky. There he is, folks.
Thank you.
It's a Bucky. It's a Bucky. Very interesting concept. You know, they got folding chairs here. I don't know if you can sleep in them or not, but you could probably stow away in this place, be in here for weeks before they knew you were living here. Probably wouldn't know you were living here until you started getting mail. That's when they would know somebody's living here. We need to get them out of here. Kicking off a cold day in Houston. You pull and pay. Can't even see the sign from here. They got signs out on the street, but not here. Anyway, gonna get some parts for our customer here in the Houston area. Well, folks, man, S70 T5, beautiful car. Beautiful. I don't know why it's here. Probably blown head gasket. We tested the sunroof. The sunroof opened kind of easy, didn't want to go close. The headliner is in great shape. I think this car has been garaged. We took the sunroof trim. We took the ECC. We went to get the clock spring. Clock spring has mounts broke. I don't need that. Showed me to how to get a few things loose. We took one of these side things. This dome light, man, is in like perfect shape. We did get the little inserts for that. The center console on this thing is perfect. Can't get this back door open. I'm getting ready to open the trunk so that I can get the clips that secure the little trunk thing there. So let me go ahead and do that, and we'll probably be done here. Oh, these roof trims are like perfect. The sunroof's in good shape, but I'm gonna get these because people need them for their 850s and S70s. So let me pull these, then we'll be out of here. If anybody wants to know how this trim comes off of this window area, it has 3 latches on the back. One here, one here, one here. The bottom in the middle is kind of glued, and then it's got 3 latches on the front. You pop them out, and they kind of hook out, so from the inside you can pry them out, forward and out, and they come out. Let me get them out. It's kind of hard with the door closed. It works better with the door open. But you see, there's a catch in there that catches them, and you got one at the top, one at the bottom, and that's it. You can actually do it without bending it. like I just did. We are at this Chinese restaurant here, kind of North Houston. Man, this food is good. Come get you some. And look how beautiful Mita is. Oh, look like she ready for her movie scene. Here we are, folks, kicking off the Tinker Day, back at it. It's T5. I forgot to get those fuel injectors yesterday. We'll have to see if they fit in Mita's pocket. We're gonna start off the day by getting that door open. Looked like somebody tried. I don't know if they tried today or yesterday or if it was like that yesterday, but we gotta try to get that door open. We're gonna get the dash, the seat skins, and a few more things. Probably a couple wheels, because I have a couple of these wheels that are damaged at home. Wouldn't be a bad idea to have a spare one or two. So let's get cracking. Starting on this door, trying to get it unlocked. Let's see if it's gonna be easy or hard. Screw still in it. Door panel thing. This thing is in the way. I'm gonna pull this up as if to unlock the door. And it opens right up. That was the easiest one ever. Yay! Now we're gonna take the seat out so we can get the seat skin off of it. Somebody's got this thing dirtied up, but hey, one task at a time. While Mita is taking the dash out, man, she's getting at it. I have one seat stripped down, about to strip down another seat. Now here's the airbag in this little container here. That's what blows when the airbag blows. I don't have a safety on there, so I got to be careful. I'm going to move this seat out of the way and bring the other one over. Strip it down, take the bottom cushion, and strip off the top. We are locked and loaded, folks. Way far away from our new headliner. So we're going to call it, I guess, a day for now. We got to go unload this stuff and prepare to start putting some of it on the vehicle. And we gotta go get lunch. It's 4:30, hadn't had lunch. And had a good day. Need to help me get that windshield. And that was amazing. Kicked off the Tinker Day. Got everything unloaded from the salvage yard. Man, we were so proud of this dash. Even though it was stuck to the firewall. Could not get it out. When we pulled it out, of course, it broke a couple of mounts, so we got those pieces to reattach and fix this dash with one method or another. However, you see all the busted pieces in this one from an accident and the busted windshield, so we got a windshield too. But got bigger fish to fry right now. We're going to kick off the Tinker Day with putting this fuel pump into this yellow sedan. We believe this yellow sedan has an original pump, and it's got intermittent stalling and starting issues, and it's leaving the owner stranded around town. So we think it's the fuel pump. We're going to do that first and then move on to a big fish to fry, which is to try to get this car to crank. We got a no crank issue. It's a 2000 V70. It was in an accident, and it was towed back here after repairs, which tells me they probably had problems starting it too. The owner said they started it, pulled it off the trailer, and he started it the next day, drove it around the neighborhood, hadn't started since, which has been several months. So we're going to figure out what's preventing this thing from cranking, get it fired up and running, and then we will deal with some of the other issues it has after that. One of the issues it has is it has a seat that has been eaten up by battery acid. Even though the door won't open, battery acid ate up that seat, and that seat is a booster seat. So if you know somebody that has a booster seat for a P80 split seat driver's side, we need the lower part of that seat, which has the child booster in it. That section right there pops up for a child booster. I'll show you that later. But for now, we're gonna get this yellow car running. Woo woo! Here we go, folks. About to hit this fuel pump. Look at these crossover networks. He got a stereo in here that sounds amazing. Anyway, not what I'm here for. Here for something else. Oh wow, I've been waiting for this. One of my first 850 doors that will not open. That thing comes out that far, but it will not open. And I try to lift up on that locking pin, and it will not come up. So this is one of my first ones that I've had do this. I'm gonna disconnect the battery, see if that matters. I don't know if power's pulling it down, but I can't get that up. Can't get it open from the inside or out. Let's troubleshoot this after we do the fuel pump. Wow, doesn't look like we have a working odometer here. And you know there's a lot of myths about fuel pumps and this, that, and the other. I'm checking the fuel level. Man, we got about 13 gallons in this car. Maybe more, it's on a little bit of a hill. But I just wanted to know how much fuel I had in here. You see we got the service light flashing, so something's going on with the cluster. We got those lights flashing there, something's going on with the ECC. Let's see if this thing fires up. Yeah, it stumbled and fired up. Let's see if it shuts down. After running a little while. Still got a instrument cluster flashing. A lot of times when that instrument cluster goes out like that, it quits counting mileage as well. We got an A-pillar that's not installed here. Hood liner is out. It's got one of these automatic dimmable mirrors. Unfortunately, it's got a cloud in it. I don't know if you can see that cloud, but it's got a cloud right in the middle of that thing. And sunroof is struggling. You hear it squelching trying to go down. It goes down, but you gotta hit it down a couple of times. I don't know if that's got something to do with the transmission. And the car just stumbled and died. So, didn't hear the fuel pump running. See if it starts back up. I don't hear the fuel pump. So let's go replace the fuel pump. So here we go. I don't think we have much fuel. Yeah, it's just a dribble there. No pressure. So there's a myth that fuel pumps just go out and never work again. And sad to say that's not true. My daughter taught me better than that. She had a fuel pump fail when she was in downtown Cincinnati. And when she replaced that fuel pump with one of my viewer supporters, that car fired up and she said it cured 5 problems. One of the problems was long cranks. Another problem was stumbling. Another problem was poor performance. She just wasn't getting the performance that she used to get. It didn't have any kick at high RPMs. Another problem was fuel consumption. And then random stalling. Well, her replacing that fuel pump cured all those things. So fuel pumps just don't quit. They a lot of times stumble and stuff like that. Another common issue on cars in general, and especially these older P80 Volvos built in the mid-90s, is the sunroofs are leaking. If you look at this sunroof, you got a hump in the seal right there. Many have tried to replace these seals to no avail. These seals are put on with a machine. You could buy the seal, but you really can't get it on. This has more bulging in that corner there. And what generally happens when that corrosion happens, this seal has metal in it as well as rubber, and it's some kind of vacuum sealed attached to the glass. Water starts getting in there when it rains or car wash, whatever, and it starts dripping in the car. It misses the tray that captures the water. Normally, these sunroofs are not sealed units, and the water gets past the seal, it lands in this tray, and it drains through drain tubes. You got a drain tube there, you got a drain tube there, and you got two in the back, one there and one on the other side. But when this seal is leaking, the water leaks past this part of the glass assembly and drips inside the car. It misses the seal. Sometimes it'll get caught on your little material, your sunshade, put a water stain on that. But a lot of people like to have that shade open like I do if I don't have my rooftop box up there, and water will drip in on the corners. Again, it doesn't get caught in the tray. It gets caught on this part of the sunroof and drips in the car. So that's a common thing with these cars. If your sunroof is getting eaten up, get you another sunroof glass assembly. I have started to pull those out of the salvage yard, and I store them until somebody contact me, let me know they need them. And they're a little pricey to ship because of the size and weight, but if you don't want your sunroof leaking, it's easy replacement and it's cheap, so compared to dealer costs. So if you need a glass, let me know. If I got one, I'll send you one. If not, I'll have to keep my eye open for one that isn't rotted out. Now, if I had to guess by the looks of how dark and dirty the top of that fuel pump is, I would say it's original. That would make that fuel pump 30 years old. Now, my opinion, when it comes to fuel pumps, I would probably replace it every 20 years as a maintenance item. This fuel pump can be replaced in less than 20 minutes. Boom, you're done. Easy job. You could get pumps as low as $65 for these cars. If you want to get a good one, get a good one. Whatever. Replace them every 20 years. Every 200,000 miles if they last that long. Or when you start getting bad fuel pump symptoms. You can wait till it ultimately fails, leave you stranded, you get tows home and all these other things. But as preventive maintenance, 20 years, 200,000 miles when you get the symptoms. That's just my take. Let me keep moving, getting this thing replaced. Again, here's symptoms that this is an original pump. Number one, the top of this pump is extremely dirty. They're normally white, this one has yellow. Number two, the wire sleeve is red. I don't think they've been doing that for a while. Number three, this pump does not have an additional ground wire lead on it. A lot of these pumps, once they've been replaced after 2005, they have a little wire that comes off of here. It's an additional ground lead. So those are the symptoms, other than failure, that this is an original pump assembly. Now, this thing doesn't have the float with it. The float is under this part of the car. The sending unit is different than the fuel pump assembly. One sure way to destroy a fuel pump is to have old gas in the tank. As you can see, this sock is totally eaten away. It's probably sucked some of that material up into the pump assembly. The rubber gasket around the pump is deteriorating, and I'm willing to guess this is from old gas, likely gas with ethanol in it. I tell people, don't have gas in your car for longer than 90 days. So if you're driving a car less than 200 miles every 90 days, don't put more than a quarter of a tank of gas in it. Drive it until a low fuel light comes on, and then put maybe 4 or 5 gallons in it, half a tank at the most. There's a myth that running a fuel tank low on gas destroys the fuel pump. That is a myth. I run my tank until the low gas light comes on several times a week. I just don't have any desire to stop and put a half a tank of gas in the car. Especially when I'm traveling, I drive until the low fuel light comes on, and then I find a gas station and fill it up. That's 3 gallons left in the tank. I have pumps that last 200 plus thousand miles, 230, stuff like that. It's a myth that running them low on gas makes them go bad, makes the fuel pump go bad. But you can hold on to that thought if you'd like. But this is an example, I think, of a pump that probably met a grave due to old gas getting in there, eating up the seals, the sock, the gasket, and whatever's inside of it. So again, if you have a vehicle that you only drive once every while, don't put a bunch of gas in that thing. Run that thing low, keep the tank low. These tanks are plastic. We don't have metal tanks in cars anymore. Those plastic tanks don't rust with gas in them. And this tank may look clean in there. Let's take a look. But definitely this sock material's gone, and some of this rubber gasket material's gone. And we're going to change a fuel filter as well. Let's look down in this tank, see if it looks... Ooh, that looks nasty. We got material in there that needs to be cleaned up. Other than that, it looks pretty clean. This car was driven a decent amount lately, but prior to that, especially through COVID, very little driving. So we're going to try to suck that dirt up out of there before we put in the new pump. So this is it. Jacked up original pump. The connectors from this original OE pump would not work on the new pump. And the polarity on this pump, you see here to the left is the plus, to the right is the minus. And on this pump, to the left is the minus, to the right is the plus, with the spades down. So we had to reverse the polarity in the plug. But anyway, everything on these wires, connectors, the little plastic casings on them, broke. And on the original pump, the ground is smaller than the positive. And on the new pump, those spades look equal. So we wired in the new pump, and this new pump is, I thought it was like, yeah, if you put them side by side, the new pump's about a 1/4 inch shorter than the original pump. You see the tip there. And they did not send any new hose. This is special hose for being submerged in the tank. This hose is super expensive. 6 inches is probably $45, $50. So this hose is a little short, a 1/4 inch shorter than what needs to be. So this pump may be a 1/4 inch off of the bottom of the tank, which means the car may run out of gas with a half a gallon of gas in it, maybe as much as a gallon. So just be aware of that. Putting in a new pump when you're rebuilding the pump assembly. Now, on a pump this old wiring, old seals, old connectors, old casing, all that stuff, if you know it's 30 years old, I would probably get a whole new sending unit, so you don't have certain things maybe had rotted away in the tank, especially on a situation like this, where this car sat for 9 years with old gas in the tank. This thing was probably running without a fuel sock for a while, and anything that gets sucked up in the tank, which is rare in these times because gas stations just run their own filter system. The odds of something getting in your tank at the gas station is slim, but we seen there's stuff in this gas tank. But look at all this stuff that crumbled off the pump assembly. We can't blame that on the gas station. The sock, the seal, the gasket, all that stuff came off of the OEM pump that's 30 years old. I'm surprised the hose is still good, but it is submergible hose, and unfortunately we're going to have to reuse that because the kit the fuel pump kit they sent us did not have that in it. So we're going to put this in. The gasket on the bottom of the pump is rotted away. We don't have that to absorb vibration. This pump is going to be rattling around in the bottom of this sending unit. Not a real big deal, but hey, we got to make sure our line is tight, our connectors are tight without stress on them, and we should be okay. Well, I stand corrected. I went to push this fuel line on this pump, and the line is cracking. It's cracking around the clamp. It's cracking on the area there, and you see it's wet. We got to get some new fuel lines. So let me get on here and see where I can find some fuel line at. I went to the auto parts store because they promised me they had immersible fuel line, and they did not. I handed the guy the hose like this with 2 clamps on it. He dropped one, kept walking. So I picked it up because I didn't need him losing my thing. But look how many cracks that hose has now. Anyway, we had to get on Amazon and order some immersible in-tank high pressure fuel line so that we could put this fuel pump in. In the meantime, we're going to get started on this car and figure out why it won't start. Let's get cracking. It won't even crank, so we have a no crank situation. Well, whoever put this car back together after the accident had the hood cable just jacked up. So I fixed it, I thought, but I seen the cable was almost broken because of the way they had it jacked up. I told the owner, hey man, this cable's about to break. We need to get another cable out of here. Anyway, long story short, they closed the hood, put it in the garage yesterday or the day before. I just tried to open the hood, nothing. Normally you have to get this light out and try to open the hood by getting at the latch. So I just told Mita, hey, we got to be careful we don't break this light. I might be able to get it. Man, I grabbed that light, barely touched it, and it slid right off. So this light was already broke, even though it looked good. They had already busted the tab on it. I could see where a screw had been in it to screw it to that, but even that's gone now. Anyway, we're going to try to get in here and get this hood off. You can see some of the metal there is still mangled from the accident. And there's a sheet metal screw in there holding it together. Well, I messed with some wires and stuff and got it to crank and start. So let me shut it down, put it back together, and see if we can keep getting it to crank and start. Crazy thing. I made sure a few plugs were plugged in all the way, because a lot of these plugs, the latches are busted, so they just unplug. I rolled the engine over. I checked continuity, made sure it had a good ground, made sure it had power going to a few spots, and messed with this thing a little bit, and it fired up. Of course, the turbo piping not plugged in, and the cooling fan didn't let it run long, but it stayed running even with the turbo piping unplugged. You see this here looks like the spring seat's torn out, which it is. You can turn that around. We still got coolant in there. Well, I don't know if that's coolant, that's mold. It might be water. Coolant normally doesn't mold. So let me put the coolant fan in here and fire this thing up. Let it run for 30 minutes or so. See if it'll stay running. Found another issue. The fan shroud is busted on this thing. It's supposed to have a tip like that. This one's busted off. Probably pick this up from the salvage yard tomorrow. So let me go ahead and drop this one in for the meantime. It also should have the fan mod to get the fan away from the engine, get a little more space. Definitely got to do something about this hood cable that's jacked up on here. and keep moving forward. No idea what's going on with this hood cable. I don't know. Definitely ain't routed the right way. I'll take a closer look at that after I get this back together and get the car running again. Next up, the mystery of the locked door. First thing I'm gonna try to do is remove power from it there. So let me go in here and see if I could pull the lock up and open it. The car is unlocked. As you can see, do 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 do. 3 and no. See how far that pulls open for it to unlock. Let's go inside, see if we can get that button up. That latch being bad, that's gonna be a bad idea. Comes almost even there. Do 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 do. Getting the fuel odor in the car, so my little deal with aluminum foil is not good enough to keep the odor out, so I need to do something about that. But really bad idea to set things on your leather and leave it. It stretches the leather. I can't get the pin to come up, first of all. I'm going to undo the pin, put some pliers on there. See if I can get it to come up with some pliers so I don't destroy the pin. Well, that thing is kind of down in the hole a little bit without that knob on there. See if we can put some needle nose down there and grab it. I couldn't get in there with needle nose pliers. Couldn't pull it up, so I put the button back on, tried to pull it up, and the button broke off. So the next thing to do is to take the seat out, get the door panel off best you can, and then go with the latch in there. So let me get this stuff out of the way so I can get this door panel off. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.